am absolutely so thrilled to have Dr. Michele Ross here of Impact Network out of Colorado. She's a neuroscientist. She's making huge changes in education and going forward into the community and just basically talking to people about the efficacy of cannabis. So if you could just take a moment and tell us a little bit about what you're doing in Colorado and nationwide, I would love it.
Yeah, so we're in Denver, but actually the nonprofit was formed in Los Angeles, California. We decided to move to Denver just because of the legal restrictions on research and just the industry in general is looser in Colorado. I mean, we have recreational cannabis, so anyone can come from any state and actually consume, which means there's a bigger patient pool for us to study. So what Impact Network does is that we're trying to increase the amount of cannabis research, education, and advocacy efforts throughout the country. And so we actually work with nonprofits all around the nation and even internationally. And we're trying to help push more qualifying conditions for medical marijuana. We're trying to support the rights for patients to grow, the ability for medical doctors to be able to recommend cannabis without any kind of stigma or pushback from their governments, really just supporting the medical cannabis community in any shape or form.
That's amazing. And so one of the biggest issues that we see and we hear from patients all the time is the fact that state by state, the legal qualifying condition list is so restrictive. And so how are you working to change that?
Yeah, I mean, basically putting qualifying conditions doesn't even make sense in our medical system. It really only is that way because there's the whole Schedule 1 issue. Any other medication, if it's approved by the FDA, you can basically, the doctor can do off-label use, which is, okay, it got approved for, say, epilepsy, but I can prescribe it for whatever I want. And so if cannabis was not Schedule 1, the doctors could do the same thing. But now we're in this very pseudo-medical system where they have to approve condition by condition, and it's based on the research, which is a catch-22 because our U.S. government is not funding this research, so how can we then have research to prove that it should be used for these conditions? So it's a catch-22. It doesn't make a lot of sense. California has been unique, as are some other states where they allow that open loophole. So if your doctor thinks it's appropriate for you, you get to use it. And I feel like that should be available in every state. In my state, Colorado, that's actually not the case. And we have a lot of patients, including veterans with post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, that actually don't have access to medical marijuana, which can be disturbing because people are saying, okay, we have a recreational system, so the veterans can go in, buy their marijuana, and they don't need it, to have it as a qualifying condition because they can just buy on the rec market. But that's actually dangerous because the rec market, cannabis is so much more expensive. I mean, especially if you're somebody who's disabled or very, very ill, you don't have a lot of free cash. Are you going to spend $300 for, a week's worth of medication where on the medical side you could have gotten it for $10? It doesn't make sense. So.
Well, it seems to me like you're doing some great work, and one of the biggest problems that we do have is allowing people who are truly using cannabis medicinally to have access to medication that's affordable. So I think it's really great what Impact Network is doing. We're so pleased to have you here. And how can people find you?
Yeah, so you can find us at impactcannabis.org. That's our crowdfunding site right now. We have different advocacy and education research efforts. So for example, our top 4 fundraisers right now are on cancer, ending the opiate epidemic, which of course HelloMD is a very strong supporter of. We would love your work, as well as our basically our advocacy effort to unionize all the scientists who ask the federal and state governments for funding for research and education, and then we have our general fund. But that's the best way to get plugged in, and you can actually join our team and fundraise and actually help fund the research and education that really needs to transform our healthcare system and make cannabis part of it.
That's great. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Ross. Thank you for coming and talking to us.
That was fantastic.
All right.